Hey, this is Ronald from Math Skills University, and today we're going to show you how to create a ball and add shading to it in Krita for beginners. But before I do that, I want to point out a few changes I made to my workspace. I went up to settings, I went down to themes, which would be the orange one, because this way when I go through lessons or I'm looking at things, I can see clearly where I am with this yellow orangish color right here. If you're using a mouse, what I suggest you do is click on the brushes or press B as in boy, and then go down to where it says brush smoothing. And instead of using basic, as you can see, if you try to draw with a mouse on basic, it's pretty difficult. But you might want to consider going down to weighted, playing around with that one. It's a lot smoother and easier to use. Or try stabilizer. And you can also change the sample count and the delay, but this is also easier and a lot smoother when you're drawing with the mouse. The last thing I want to point out is if I press down shift and left click on the mouse and drag up or down, I can make my brush size decrease or increase as I paint. Okay, let's move on to how to create a ball and apply some shading with the mouse. Let's create a new image. We'll make it 2500 by 2500, 300 dpi. Change the background color to anything other than white. Click OK and create. Now we're going to find your brushes and then go down to the search box in the bottom here and type in basic. And we're looking for B Basic 1. Now go up to brush size and change it to 1000. Go over to the right to Advanced Color Selector and pick any color you want, somewhere in the middle of the spectrum. And then left click on your mouse and there's the color I chose, which is green. Now press Ctrl Command plus T as in Tom to transform it, and you can change it and move it around and make it bigger and all that. I'm not going to do that right now though. Now go over to the right to our layers. Click on this layer and we're going to rename it Circle. Then right click and go up to Group. Go over to Quick Chipping Group and left click on that. We're going to insert that. And now we can start drawing inside of our circle. And we're going to use this to start creating our shades. Now we're going to shade toward the darker end for our shading. Let's go back over to our brushes, go back to search, and this time we're going to type in air. Choose the soft air brush right here. Now we're going to bring our opacity up. Make sure we're clicked on the mask. Let's select a darker color for our shadow, but not black. A little bit darker than the green we have. About right there. Let's increase our brush size to max. And now just left click on the bottom and just start bringing in your darker shadows. Remember, our light's coming from the top. That's what we're assuming. Going straight down. And the more you click in one area, the darker it's going to get. You can also just brush across with the mouse, just holding the left mouse button down. Go a little bit darker there. I can bring the opacity down and change that to sort of blend things in, make my brush size a little bit smaller. And you can also use the brackets on the keyboard to change your brush size, or hold shift, left mouse click, and just scroll up and down to make the brush smaller or larger like that. And I'm not going to get into the complications of shadows and the reflections and the bounces and all that. I just want to give you a basic idea of how to get started with this program. Now we're going to create another layer. Go to create layer, and this layer is going to be our highlights. So we're going to take our, and now we want to move the dot more toward the white, and you don't want to go all the way black or all the way white. I'm going to go back to the bottom shadow area, and I want to change the compositing to multiply and press F3, or right click and go up to properties. Under capacity, go to multiply. Then I'm going to go back to the layer. I'm going to right click on it, press F3, and I want to change this compositing or blending to overlay. Now left click and start bringing in your brightness. Make sure you're all the way up on the white here, and just left click and just tap it. Bring up your opacity and just click. I'm going to make it smaller, so I want to have like a bright beam in the middle and then have the light just splatter out a little bit. I'm not going to do this perfectly at all. Take your time with this. And there are also better videos out there. I just want to show you how to get started with this really quickly if you're trying to create round shapes and things like that. And I'm going to go back and forth between the layers. I'm going to bring in more dark area, then switch back up to the light and bring in more light area. And then when I'm done, you'll see what this looks like. If you see leakage like this, that means one of your masks is not being applied correctly. So what you want to do is lock your alphas. So go over here and make sure you click on Inherit Alpha and Alpha Locked. And if you do it correctly, your background should be clean and you should be ready to move on. Then we're going to bring in another layer. We're going to go up to the blue here, and that's always a good color for shading. And we're going to drop a shade in here. We'll just draw a little bit of a line, reduce the opacity. Just draw a quick line here, darken it up underneath it. All I'm going to do here is make my brush a little smaller, and I want to make the area right beneath, directly beneath the ball, the darkest. So I'll go over that area a few times. Then I'll make the brush larger, expand it out. Then I can use the eraser to erase whatever else I don't want. I can also use the transform tool and change this around. Lastly, you can play with the opacities of different layers to get different effects like this. So definitely check that out. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas, please leave them below. If you'd like to see me do anything in particular, please let me know. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. And until we meet again, have a great and creative day. Peace.